everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I, of course, am just another heavy metal maniac. And, well, firstly, I apologize for my absence, because it's been quite a while since I uploaded a video. It's just been, things have been kind of very hectic on the home front. There's been quite a few major changes. I won't dive into them, because I don't really feel like divulging all of my personal details, but yeah, there's just been a bunch of changes going on, and if you guys couldn't already tell, I'm also in a kind of new setup. It's not yet finished. We're in the process currently of just moving my bedroom into the next room over, so all my stuff is just kind of still in piles here on the floor and hasn't really been sorted yet, but I'll get around to it. And yeah, I just wanted to get this video because, again, it's been quite a while since I uploaded my video last time, so I apologize again for my absence. But nonetheless, I am back once again, and this time I'm doing something I also haven't done in a bit of a hot minute. I'm doing a collection update, because I got a stack of tapes, CDs, and vinyls that I want to be talking about with you guys and showing off today. So yeah, without further ado, enough of my ramblings, let's just get right into this little video of mine, shall we? So we're starting with the tapes like we normally do in these collection updates, and the first tape I'm going to be discussing is Blood Feast, Kill for Pleasure. This is the debut album from this New Jersey-based thrash metal act, and yeah, these guys are pretty much the New Jersey equivalent to Slayer, because this album is just pure intensity, pure just fuck off, balls to the wall, hyper-aggressive thrash, and yeah, I think for what this album is going for, it is very, very well done. I really like the production on this album. It's kind of got that more raw, almost demo-ish kind of feel to it. Like, it's a little gamey and sizzly, but it really works in my opinion. The vocals on this album are pretty unhinged for the most part. A little bit goofy at times maybe, but I think they really work for what they're going for. And I think, again, for a thrash metal album, I think all the songs on this album are very, very well written. Like, some of my standouts for me would definitely be the title track is an awesome song, Vampire, Bloodlust, Suicidal Mission, Dark Side, R.I.P., which is the shortest track on this album. Yeah, this whole album is just very, well written. Again, aggressive thrash metal album with just riffs for days, just intensity for days. It's just got attitude. And I think, again, this is a really, really awesome, well-written album. This tape that I got also comes with the Face Fate EP, which is a good EP, except, it's just four of the songs. It's only 4 songs, and 3 of the songs are re-recordings off of the Kill for Pleasure. But the song Face Fate, I think, is a really killer song, so it is kind of worth it, especially since I got this at a good price. So, yeah, Blood Feast, Kill for Pleasure. I think this is a damn good album. I do quite enjoy it. Again, if you've not heard this and you're a fan of Slayer, I'd say Rigor Mortis a little bit, Demolition Hammer. If you're a fan of any of those bands, check this out. I think this is definitely a worthwhile release. So yeah, Blood Feast, Kill for Pleasure, killer thrash album. Detente, Recognize No Authority. This is the debut album from this Los Angeles-based thrash/speed metal act. You kind of get the blend of both worlds, really, on this album. Here's the tape itself, kind of clear. Oh, it's actually kind of a cool-looking tape. But, yeah, like I said, this is a thrash metal/speed metal kind of hybrid. You really get kind of the blend of both worlds on the sound. You get kind of the more straightforward, like, thrash metal songs on the sound, but you also get a lot of the kind of I wouldn't say necessarily more melodic speed metal parts, but like kind of the more like less intense, a little bit more kind of streamlined, I guess, speed metal parts with a little bit of like kind of punkiness as well, which I wouldn't call this like a crossover album per se, but there's definitely a bit of punk influence on this album, I would say for sure. Even just like down to like the album cover and the album title, like it's definitely some punk energy on this album. Dawn Crosby, rest in peace, because she was an absolutely killer vocalist, and yeah, the vocals on this album are they're venomous and just super pissed off, and they really, really work. Again, it's kind of got a bit of a punky flair to it, I would say, to some degree, and I think for what this album is going for, again, all the songs are super well written. Some standouts for me would definitely be the opening track, Losers. I think it's a cool song. Russian Roulette, Holy War, what else? Widow's Walk is a really cool song. Vultures in the Sky. But I think every song on this album is honestly pretty damn well written. And yeah, again, if you are a fan of kind of like thrash metal and speed metal, like if you're a fan of bands like I'd say like Razor, Holy Terror, bands like that. I think this is definitely a definitely very worthwhile release. This band only had 2 albums. Their second album didn't come out until 2017, I believe, and unfortunately Dawn Crosby passed away before then because I believe she passed away only a few years after this album came out, which is a damn shame because this album is really, really damn cool. So yeah, Detente, Recognize No Authority. Again, if you're a fan of any of the bands I mentioned, Razor, Holy Terror, bands like that, check this out. I think this album is pretty damn awesome. Dio, The Last in Line. This is the second album from this legendary band that needs no introduction. If you are kind of any metal fan worth your weight in salt, you should be intimately familiar with not only this band, but this album in particular. Because this album is a stone cold heavy metal classic in every single sense of the word. Of course, you have the songs like, We Rock and The Last in Line, the title track, which are both just heavy metal classics. Other songs I really love on this album are I Speed at Night. What else? Evil Eyes is a really killer song. Eat Your Heart Out. Egypt, The Chains Are On. Yeah. Again, if you are if you're any kind of classic metal fan or just metal fan in general who's worth your weight, you should already know this album. Of course, Dio, arguably the greatest heavy metal singer that ever lived, and yeah, of course his vocals on his album are killer. I don't even need to say that. But yeah, this album, again, it's a stone cold heavy metal classic in every conceivable sense of the word. I don't think it's quite as good as Holy Diver because, well, few albums are quite as good as Holy Diver. But I think this is definitely a very worthy follow up to Holy Diver and would probably maybe be number two whenever I get around to doing my Dio ranking. You guys will find out for sure by then. But yeah, Dio, The Last in Line. I think this is an absolutely awesome album. So yeah, again, if you've not heard this, what are you doing with your life? But if you're a fan of, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, literally any of those bands, check this out. This is a classic, essential metal album. Judas Priest, Hellbent for Leather, or Killing Machine, depending on where you're from, because I believe it was released as Hellbent for Leather in the US and Killing Machine in the UK, which I'm not sure what it was released as in Canada, but we'll have to double check and find out for sure. But regardless of whether you know this album by, this is the 5th studio album from this, again, legendary band that needs no introduction. They are one of the pioneers of heavy metal, and I absolutely adore Judas Priest. They are my all-time favorite band, which I only own a couple of their albums, so shame on me for that because they're my favorite band. But yeah, I really, really do enjoy this album, even though it's not my favorite Judas Priest album. I forget where I ranked this in my ranking. I believe I had it around number like 13. I don't think it cracked the top 10, but I do still really like this album. Like Delivering the Goods is a killer song. Evening Star, Burning Up, the cover of the Green Manalishi with the two-pronged crown is an absolutely killer cover. I think it's honestly better than the original. The Killing Machine and Hellbent for Leather, all those songs are absolutely killer. They were definitely going for a little more accessibility with this album. Like the songs are a little more streamlined, a little bit more kind of, not clean, but again, just a little more accessible, a little more catchy, a little bit more kind of sing along. I feel like they definitely took it a little too far on some of the tracks, namely Take on the World, which is just a flat out bad song in my opinion. It's like a We Will Not Rock You by Queen knockoff, and it's just not good at all. But honestly, you get rid of that song, you get rid of maybe Before the Dawn, which is kind of this lame acoustic ballad. You get rid of those two songs, I think this is honestly one of their maybe best albums even. I think this is a really good album. Even again, not my favorite from them, but still damn worthwhile release. Judas Priest, Hellbent for Leather, or Killing Machine, again, depending on where you're from. Definitely a classic album that is very much worth your time. Scorpions, Virgin Killer. This is the 4th studio album from this legendary German heavy metal act, and again, Scorpions really don't need much of an introduction, I don't think, because they are one of the legendary heavy metal acts, one of the pioneers of heavy metal once again, and this album is one of my personal favorites from them. Honestly, it might even be my favorite, but I don't know, there's some steep competition because I think Taken by Force and Blackout are both absolutely brilliant as well. But this album, I think, is absolutely kick-ass. This is kind of where they really, I feel like, started to fully kind of embrace their identity as like a more heavy metal type act. There's definitely some more kind of hard rock influence on this album still, but this is definitely, I feel like, kind of where they were like, okay, we're a metal band now. We're gonna be just riffing our asses off and being killer. Because songs like Pictured Life, Catch Your Train, Virgin Killer, Hello Cat. Yeah, I think this whole album is just a really awesome killer album. I'm also quite happy I got a version of this album that doesn't have the original album cover because, ugh, to God, no, I don't think I could, in good conscience, own an album cover. like that. But this album is, again, just damn killer. If you haven't heard it, you're missing out big time because this is, again, absolutely essential classic heavy metal. Yeah, if you're a fan of Judas Priest, Accept, Black Sabbath, literally any of those bands, check this out if you haven't already. Oh, I'm willing to bet most of you probably have. Killer album. So for me, Virgin Killer, yeah, it's a damn killer album and definitely worth your time. And the last tape I'm going to be discussing today is yet another classic album, I would say. Twisted Sister, Stay Hungry. This is the third studio album from this New York based, sorry, I believe they're from New York if I remember correctly. Heavy metal, kind of, some people argue Twisted Sister are kind of a glam metal band. Personally, I don't really agree with that assessment, at least not with the first three albums, because like later, the next album after, yeah, you could argue maybe they're a bit more glam metal, but to me, Twisted Sister are kind of just like a classic heavy metal band. And yeah, this album is kind of an essential 80s album for sure because I mean, yeah, of course you got songs like We're Not Gonna Take It on this album, and Burn in Hell, I Wanna Rock. But you also got other songs in here like The Beast, The Price, SMF. Yeah, no, I think this album is absolutely killer. Personally, I don't know. For me, when it comes to my favorite Twisted Sister album, it's really between this one and the debut Under the Blade. But yeah, I think this album is absolutely killer. Again, this is just kind of an essential 80s metal album. We're Not Gonna Take It. Yes, it's overplayed for sure, but I still really like that song. Yeah, again, this is an absolutely essential 80s metal album in my opinion. Just kind of, it's got a perfect blend of, you can bang your head to it, but you can also just sing along. It's got catchy choruses. I've always loved Dee Snider's, vocals. He just kind of has this great raspy delivery, in my opinion. And yeah, overall, I think this is an absolutely killer album. If you somehow have not heard this album again, and you're a fan of Wasp, Skid Row, Dokken, any of those bands, a little bit of maybe Motorhead kind of energy on some of these songs. Well, maybe not Motorhead, but anyways, if you're just a fan of like classic 80s heavy metal, I think this is an absolutely essential album. So yeah, check it out if you have not. So that is all the tapes out of the way. So now we'll move on to the CDs. And we're going to be starting off with the first CD, obviously. Cyanide, The Dying Truth. This is the debut album from this Chicago-based death metal / death doom act. And yeah, here I'm just going to open it up so you can get to look inside. And yeah, this album is absolutely killer in my opinion, because this is honestly, in terms of like early 90s death doom releases that lean more towards death than doom, this is absolutely essential. Songs like Scourging at the Pillar, the title track, The Suffering, Human Cesspool, Mind Scrape, Second Life. This also includes a bunch of like their demos and stuff, which is I think is pretty neat as well. But overall, yeah, I think this is an absolutely essential, again, kind of early 90s death doom album. The production of this album is amazing, mainly just because of that snare sound, which is one of the most glorious snare sounds I've ever heard in my life. It's not like ringy piccolo snare, but it's just, I love it so much. It's so good. And yeah, this is just kind of like pure Celtic Frost worshipping death doom done honestly perfectly. I have really no gripes with this album at all. I think all the songs are super well written. Yeah, if you have not heard this and you are a fan of, again, Celtic Frost, Autopsy, Winter, a little bit of Asphyx, check this out. I think this is definitely an absolutely essential release. This might be my favorite album from this band, but I don't know. Cyanide are pretty consistent for the most part, so... But yeah, this album is absolutely awesome in my opinion. Oh, sorry, get the glare out of the way. Yeah, so Cyanide, The Dying Truth, I think this album is absolutely awesome. Again, if you're a fan of any of the bands I mentioned, definitely check this out. Cyanide, The Dying Truth, killer album. Druk, Shadowplay. This is the latest studio album from this legendary Ukrainian black metal band. Definitely Ukraine's biggest export in terms of black metal. And yeah, this album came out just this year, back in, was it March, April? I believe it was March, or it might have been May. I actually don't remember off the top of my head when this album came out. It was sometime earlier this year, but this album I think is absolutely just beautiful. Like, this is honestly one of my favorite albums that released this year. Possibly might be my album of the year, but I don't know, it's definitely got some steep competition. But yeah, Druk are my favorite black metal band, and this is just them doing what they're good at, but they do it so damn well. I think all the songs on this album are incredible. Some standout ones for me would definitely be the songs April, The Exile, Fallen Blossom, The Eve. But again, every song on this album is absolutely incredible. Perfect blend of like atmospheric and folk black metal. You get real sense of just kind of like melancholy and real sense of sorrow. Yeah, I think this is just an absolutely beautiful, kind of emotional album. And given all the recent stuff that's been happening in Ukraine over the past couple of years, I feel like this album was definitely taking a lot of inspiration from that. And of course, unfortunately, that when their drummer or former drummer was unfortunately killed in the war, which is obviously quite sad. But yeah, I think this album is absolutely just a beautiful, beautiful release. Again, possibly could be my favorite album of the entire year. Again, a little bit biased there because Drutk are my favorite black metal band, but I think this album is just absolutely, absolutely beautiful. If you're not familiar with Drutk, honestly, this wouldn't be a bad place to start because again, this album does everything they do well, perfectly. Like there really is nothing bad about this album at all. If you are a fan of I guess I would say stuff like maybe like early Ulver, like the first album, Burzum, bands like that. Check this out. I think this is definitely a very worthwhile release. Yeah, Thrutk, Shadowplay, beautiful, beautiful album. Infernal Majesty, None Shall Defy. This is the debut album from this Canadian. I believe they're originally based in Ontario, then they relocated to Vancouver. Ontario-based thrash metal act, and a lot of people say, Razor is Canadian Slayer, or that, this is a slipcase. So here, I'll try to pull this out for you guys. Again, as I was saying, a lot of people say, oh, Razor is Canadian Slayer, or Sacrifice is Canadian Slayer. But honestly, for me, these guys are the answer to what is Canadian Slayer, because these guys are pretty much the closest that to Slayer worship than you can pretty much get. And of course, even though it is Slayer worship, it's not like generic by any means, because all the songs, again, they're very, very well written. The production of this album is just, it's intense, it's aggressive. I think the production is stellar. Again, all the songs are very well written. All the bass on this album has got this really nice, awesome tone to it. There's really cool bass lines as well. But yeah, this album is just pure riffs. Again, if you love thrash metal for the riffs, which of course, if you listen to thrash metal, you do love it for the riffs, this is an essential album. Definitely, without doubt, my favorite album from this band. Their other albums aren't bad per se, but I don't think they're anywhere near on the level of this album. But yeah, Infernal Majesty, this is pretty much Canadian Slayer. So yeah, again, if you love Slayer, you're going to love this album. If you also love stuff like Razor, Rigor Mortis, pretty much think of any bands that sound like Slayer to some degree, you're going to love this album because, yeah, again, this is pretty much Canadian Slayer done perfectly, and I absolutely love this album. Again, great vocals, just riffs, awesome bass lines, awesome production. Yeah, I would say, honestly, are you have an underrated thrash metal gem to some degree, because I feel like this album does get a little bit overlooked, especially even for Canadian thrash, but yeah, absolutely, absolutely awesome album. Infernal Majesty, None Shall Defy. I, for one, quite dig it. Morbosidad, and I'm gonna have to read the title of the song because it's in Spanish and I forget what it is. Forgive my pronunciation. Profana la Cruz del Nazarino. I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish, but hopefully that wasn't too terrible. But anyways, this is the third studio album from this California-based, originally based in California, now they're based in Texas. Black metal, death metal / kind of war metal act, and yeah, this album is just some pretty damn killer war metal. All these songs on this album are just, again, it's just a very intense, balls to the wall album. If you like war metal, I feel like you should probably like this album, because again, while this album doesn't necessarily do anything super original or super like, whoa, that was fucking awesome or anything, these guys are really quite just, again, it's kind of standard war metal, but done really well. Again, if you're a fan of anything war metal, if you're a fan of Blasphemy, Archgoat, Revenge, Black Witchery, literally any war metal band that you can think of, check out this album if you haven't already, because yeah, this album is just damn good. It's, again, very intense, very riffy, just super raw production, and yeah, overall, kind of, again, a perfect blend of black metal, death metal, grindcore, all combined into one chaotic fucking album. And yeah, I love this album cover too. Look at that. I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, awesome war metal artwork. I think it's absolutely killer. Overall, yep, I dig this album. Yeah, Morbosidad, Profana la Cruz del Nazarino. Again, forgive my Spanish because it's absolutely terrible. But yeah, this was kind of also a lucky local store find because I found this at a local, music store. It wasn't even a music store. It was like a vintage. It was an antique store, and I was like, I did not expect to find this album of all things at a fucking antique store. That's pretty exciting. So yeah, for me, Bolsidad, Profana de la Cruz Nazarino, pretty damn good war metal. Alright, and the last CD I'm going to be discussing, Stravarius Nemesis. This is the 14th studio album from this Finnish power metal act, and yeah, this album is just pretty damn killer. It's just kind of Stravarius playing to their strengths to some degree with a little more kind of symphonic elements as well. Yeah, Stravarius, they are personally my favorite band when it comes to the whole European style of power metal because I think I've said this before, but personally I prefer the more American side of the power metal spectrum, like Riot, Manila Road, Surfungal, bands like that. But I do love the European bands as well, and Stravarius are without doubt like my favorite in that whole kind of scene. And yeah, this album, well, it wasn't my favorite. I forget where I ranked it just because this band has a lot of albums and they're fairly consistent for the most part. I think I had this in somewhere kind of in the middle. I think this album is killer. Some really cool songs like Unbreakable, Stand My Ground, what else? Castles in the Air, One Must Fall, the title track is damn killer. Again, so yeah, this is power metal with some kind of more, a little bit of symphonic elements, a little bit of kind of maybe somewhat proggy elements as well, just because the songs are very kind of lavish and very kind of intricately constructed to some degree. But yeah, I think this album is absolutely worth your time. If you are not familiar with Stradivarius, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this album to start with. I would probably recommend like Visions or Destiny or Infinite if you're trying to get into Stradivarius. But this is nonetheless a very good album if you are a fan of stuff like Halloween, Sonata Arctica, bands like that. Definitely check this album out. I think this is quite a really good album. So Stradivarius, Nemesis, damn good album. Alright, so that is all the tapes and CDs out of the way. Now we move on to the vinyls. So, we're starting off with the first vinyl, obviously. Damian Thorne, The Sign of the Jackal. This is the debut album from this California-based heavy metal, speed metal, kinda US power metal act. They really kind of blend those two styles together. But yeah, this album I think is pretty damn killer. This was another kind of lucky local store find because as far as I can tell, these guys' albums are a bit hard to come by. So I think I got kind of lucky finding this album. And yeah, this is again just kind of heavy metal, speed metal, power metal, kind of hybrid of all those three styles. And I think it's done pretty damn well for what it's going for. I love the album cover. I think it's simple but super super effective. And I think all the songs of some are really, really cool. Like the title track, Fear the Dark, Grim Reaper, Hell's Rain, Damian's Procession. Yeah. Oh, I actually just realized promotional copy. I believe this was actually a promotional copy for this album, which I think is also pretty damn neat. But yeah, this is, again, just kind of a really great, just kind of like classic metal album. A little bit underrated, I would say. I feel like this album, I don't really see anyone talk about this album all that much, so it definitely kind of seems to be swept under the radar a little bit to some degree. But yeah, if you are a fan of, again, bands like I would say definitely like Exciter, Manila Road, like Riot. If you're a fan of like any of those bands, again, if you're just a fan of classic heavy metal, US power metal, speed metal, like Nasty Savage or bands like that, or was it Nasty? Yeah, Nasty Savage. Yeah, check this album out. I think it's pretty damn awesome. Damian Thorne, Sign of the Jackal. Pretty damn good album. Let's put that there for now. I'm very excited to show off this next one because this is lately one of my favorite albums of all time. Dream Death, Journey into Mystery. This is the debut album from this Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania-based thrash metal / doom metal act. This album is pretty much the perfect... If Hell Awaits from Slayer and Celtic Frost's To Megatherion had a love child, it's this album because again this is thrash metal but it's mixed with doom metal, and its album is honestly perfect because you get the perfect blend of both of those styles. Also you have the very kind of heavy like the production of this album is quite heavy, honestly, for a thrash album. The guitar tone has kind of got this thick fuzziness to it, and it sounds awesome. The vocals are kind of a bit more of a hardcore delivery to some degree, which kind of again kind of gives it more of those kind of Slayer vibes. And I think all the songs on this album are just very, very well written. You get again the perfect blend of thrash metal and doom metal. It's very atmospheric. It's just a cold, dark album. And yeah, I love all the songs on this album. Standout ones would definitely be like Back from the Dead. The opening track is awesome. The Elder Race is probably my favorite song off the album. I really love that song. Bitterness and Hatred, Divine in Agony, Sealed in Blood. The song Dream Death is absolutely killer. Uh, yeah, again, this is just a very cold, very dark, even for like, for a thrash metal album, like, it's very cold, very dark album. And again, you get those doomy elements. And I really wish more bands would kind of play this style of like doom thrash, because not a lot of bands do, but I feel like we should kind of really explore more of this sound, because again, it's so damn well good done on this album. Yeah, definitely my favorite album from this band, because they broke up not long after, and they came back, put out 2 new albums, which I thought were pretty decent, but nowhere near on the same level as this one. Because yeah, Deep Dream Death, Journey into Mystery, fuck, I absolutely love this album. Yeah, absolutely amazing, beautiful album. Oh. Quiet Riot, Metal Health. This is the third album from this Los Angeles-based heavy metal slash glam metal slash hard rock kind of act. And yeah, just like Stay Hungry, I would argue this is absolutely an essential 80s kind of like glam metal album. This is arguably the album that got the ball rolling for like glam metal, for it to become super popular. But yeah, I absolutely love this album. This is one of the first metal albums I ever heard, so there's definitely a bit of a nostalgic factor as well. But I think this is just an absolutely amazingly well written, album. Like, of course, you have the 2 classic songs on here, which are Metal Health and Come On Feel the Noise. Both of those songs are absolutely awesome. But some of the other songs on here, like Slick Black Cadillac, is such a fun, catchy song. Loves a Bitch is amazing. Run for Cover, Battle Axe, Let's Get Crazy. Yeah, again, this is an essential 80s metal album, in my opinion, because again, you get the perfect blend of like the perfect style of like 80s metal. Like, you get the songs that you can bang your head to, and like the more kind of aggressive up tempo songs, but you also got the songs that you can kind of shake your ass to and kind of sing along to, and just have like dance, so you can mosh and dance with this album. And yeah, this is without doubt the best album from this band, I think, because a lot of this band's discography is very, very, very spotty. I might pick up a a copy of Condition Critical if I ever come across one for a decent price, but as far as I'm concerned, this might be kind of the end of my Quiet Riot collection, just because a lot of this band's discography is just not worth listening to, honestly. But yeah, Metal Health, killer album. I definitely recommend this album. If you haven't heard it somehow, I mean, everyone's heard "Come On Feel the Noise." Come on, you cannot be a person on planet Earth and not have heard that song. But yeah, if you are a fan of, again, stuff like Twisted Sister, Dokken, Skid Row, Wasp, check out this album. I think it's, again, absolutely essential, not just like 80s metal album, but 80s album in general, because again, this arguably got the ball rolling for like glam metal and stuff. So yeah, Quiet Riot, Metal Health, killer album. And there is one last album we're going to be talking about today, and that is Zotrope, or Zoetrope, however you say this band's name. Regardless, this is their debut album, Amnesty. Yeah, like I said, it's the debut album from this Chicago-based thrash metal slash speed metal act. Very similar to Detente in a sense that's kind of, a hybrid of those kind of 2 worlds. Again, this was another local record store find, which I feel very lucky to live next to such a cool record store, because again, copies of this album, as far as I can tell, are fairly hard to come by, so I think I definitely got this for a pretty good deal. But yeah, again, this is just a mixture of, thrash metal and speed metal done pretty damn well. I think the production of this album, again, is kind of a little bit more that raw, demo-ish kind of feel. And yeah, actually, this band called their style street metal, because I was just reading the back of this. It says, for speed and death metal addicts, this is hardcore street metal, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah, but I think all the songs of this album are, again, super well written, they're intense, they're aggressive, like Indecent Obsessions, Kill the Enemy, Amnesty, Break Your Back, Creatures, Tripwires. yeah, I like all the songs on this album, and again, this is definitely a very worthwhile album. If you are a fan of thrash metal and speed metal, I would argue this is definitely an album that's very much worth your time. Again, a little underrated, because I feel like this album kind of flies under the radar for most people. Not many people seem to talk about it. But yeah, I, for one, really, really, really dig this album. I still need to hear the other two albums from this band, because they also had, I believe there's two other albums, or it might have just been one other album, but regardless, I'll still have to hear it. But I definitely have kind of high hopes, because this album is absolutely killer. So yeah, Zotrope, Amnesty, if you are a fan of Detente, as I previously mentioned, Razor, Holy Terror, like Snow White, bands like that, check this out. I think this is an absolutely awesome album. Alright, and well, that concludes my collection update for today. So yeah, just a few albums I wanted to show off and talk about today. So yeah, that pretty much concludes this video. I'll be back to uploading more regularly scheduled content in the coming days. Got more album reviews coming up, got more discography rankings coming up. So yeah, if you're not subscribed already, please do consider subscribing, because I do have a lot more content coming your way. And if you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what all your thoughts on these albums, tell me what albums you picked up recently, because I love to read all your guys' comments. So yeah, feel free to comment, and once again, I'll be back uploading videos on a more regular schedule, so please do stay tuned. And yeah, well, that pretty much concludes this video. I am just another Heavy Metal Maniac. I'll see you all sometime in the future. In the meantime, all of you take care and have a great, great day. So long.